Tonight is the growth mindset, first contact. And you might be wondering why first contact? Why first contact? So we have to contact for this particular session because we know that we cannot finish everything about the growth mindset just in one session. That's why we splitted it into 2 sessions. So tomorrow we're going to have the second contact. So our mentor for tonight, for this particular session, is no other person but one of our co-founders at NICOB, Mr. Nicholas Alifa. And so I'm going to be reading his bio. So Nicholas Alifa is a growth strategist, researcher, and consulting management enthusiast. As a growth strategist, he helps individuals and organizations to achieve their desired growth. He currently publishes a daily growth hack to 500 subscribers. As a consulting enthusiast, he enjoys solving problems, analyzing data, and helping individual organizations achieve their goals. He seeks opportunities to create, deliver, and capture value. As a researcher, Nicholas is committed to ensuring that all citizens have access to safe and sufficient food through policy research and scientific innovation. This has led him to conduct research at the International Institute of Food Policy Research in Washington, D.C. Nicholas is a Commonwealth scholar, Orange Knowledge Program scholar, Netherlands, and an alumnus of the Tony Elumelu Foundation. Nicholas is an alumnus of the University of Reading, UK, the University of the People, USA, the University of Ibadan, Nigeria, and Kogi State University, Nigeria. He is a fellow at the Nigeria Economic Summit Group, Bolag Additional Fellowship, and Young Innovation Leaders Fellowship. Nicholas has a first-class BC, 2 master's degree, and a master in business administration. He has also undertaken professional courses at Harvard University Executive Education, the University of Pennsylvania, Western Australia University, and the Hebrew University in Jerusalem, among others. He is a regular guest speaker on several platforms where he speaks about growth, entrepreneurship, academic excellence, and faith. So right about now, ladies and gentlemen, please with a clapping ovation, you do not need to unmute your mic. Please make welcome no other person, Mr. Nicholas Alifa. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dami, for the short introduction. Please, Dami, confirm you can hear me.
Yes, sir. Wow. I can hear you clearly.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you here tonight. We'll be waiting for this since last week, and I'm glad you're here. It's a shame that more than half of the persons who we admitted into this year cohort are not able to make it tonight. I don't know what happens. I don't know whether it is the network or it is the platform you are using, but something we're going to look into. But be rest assured that this meeting is being recorded. That means I want to confirm that it's being recorded. Yeah, the meeting is being recorded. And you can tell your members on the accountability group that they can as well go through the recordings, which is something I will strongly advise that they should go through the recording themselves to be able to get the full benefit of what this matters. So we're going to be working with Dami or working with your team to make sure that we also monitor people who watch the meeting, and that is going to count as your attendance. So please try as much as possible. Let them know they can watch the meeting after this live section. And we actually organized this to have like 2 sections in a week. That means that we'll have opportunity to brood on a particular session throughout the whole week and even beyond. And that also means that we'll be able to discuss more further about what we are discussing here on the group. And that is also what is going to count. And that's because that's going to strongly contribute to your growth. So as you guys read or listen to the recordings, and you can now begin to discuss in your group what is being taught here tonight. So thank you so much, guys, for your for being here. And I want to say again, congratulations for joining us at NICOP Capacity Development Center, the Growth Mentorship Program 2024. It's a privilege coming, and I just want to say some few things before I go into my class today, since I happen to be the first executive member to be taking this section today. They have told you guys have been doing a lot. I've been following you. I've been following what's going on your teams and what's going on your groups. And I could see the energy, I could see the excitement. And I want you to understand that we are also as excited as you are, trying to learn and try to make the most of your life. So we are following you guys, and we want to make you understand that first, what we can do, as I always say to every member of the team, right from 2019 when we started, is that we can only bring you to the stream. As the saying goes, you can take 1,000 horses to the stream, you can never force a single horse to drink water. So we can bring you to the stream, and that's what we are going to do at Growth Hub. It's called a growth mentorship program for a reason. First, it's a mentorship program, and the mentorship program is focused on growth. And one thing with mentorship is that your mentors can make you. That's one of the gospel truth about mentorship. Your mentors can't make you. Your mentors can only guide you. They can only provide instructions. They can only provide resources, tools, knowledge, and wisdom, for you to become what you want to be. So what we are going to be doing in the next 90 days with you is to provide you guidance. Of course, you cannot grow in 90 days. Nobody grows in 90 days. As I'm going to be saying today, growth is not a destination, it's a process. So what we want to do is, first, we're going to help some persons kickstart their growth journey. Different persons are here today from different levels, starting from different levels. Some persons have not started personal growth at all. Some persons have started to some point that they are at a particular point. So for those who have not started, we are going to help you start a growth journey so that you can make the most of your life, you can make the most of your destiny, you can make the most of your potentials. While others who have started, we are going to help you accelerate your growth journey. By accelerating means if you have been working at, say, 20 kilometer per hour before now, by the reason of the tools, resources, knowledge, skills that we are going to be giving to you in the course of this workshop or mentorship program, you should be able to increase your speed. I don't normally used to use the word speed, because if you're a physics student, one of the major difference between speed and vector, for those that are not in physics, that don't have physics background, please don't be offended. But in physics, we were taught that we can measure displacement in two ways, either by speed or by a vector. A speed will simply tell you, oh, this guy is running very fast, right? But a vector will tell you, oh, this guy is running very fast towards Abuja, is running very fast towards Lagos. The difference is that when you talk about speed, you don't talk about direction. But when you talk about a vector, that's a vector, velocity, which is a vector quantity. Speed is a scalar quantity. Please don't mind me. But what I mean is, I like to talk about velocity and acceleration more than I like to talk about speed, because it talks about direction. And of course, there's no point running when you're running in the wrong directions, right? So what we want to do is to help you speed up or accelerate your growth for those who are here and they have already kickstarted their growth journey and they're at a particular framework. So that is what you're going to be doing here. So one of the most important things you should learn in the next 90 days is that we're not going to cause you to grow. We're going to help you to grow. And you're going to be the one to do the growing. We're not going to grow you. You're going to be the one to do the growing. So please, I want you to take notes of that, and I want you to take advantage of everything. The second thing I also want you to understand is that although there are about we expect about 100 of you guys. Of course, from what we've been seeing, you guys are not up to 100 that have been following. But let's assume that 100 of you guys start the journey. It's good. It's unfortunate that 100 are not going to end with us. Please excuse me. Sorry. It's unfortunate that it's not the 100 persons that are going to end with us. Why? Because I know from experience that a lot of persons are going to drop along the way because growth is not easy. It's going to be difficult. And as you're going to be seeing, life does not belong to those who do easy things. It belongs to those who do difficult things. The easier it is, the more you get people dropping out. And if people are dropping out, only few people get it done. And the few people who get it done are the guys who are the top 1%, the top 2%, the top 3%, the top 4, the top 5%. So I want you to make up your mind and say, look, I'm going to be among the top 1% in the course of this training. I'm not going to drop off because I'm giving you a disclaimer now. It's not going to be easy. It's 90 days and it's going to be intensive. It's going to be intensive. So actually, when life gets tough, it is the toughs that get going, right? So I want you to get tough yourself and make up your mind to say, look, even though it's one person that's going to graduate, I want to be among them. So these are some few backgrounds or few things I want to say for now. And from henceforth, you'll be seeing me regularly in your groups. I know some of you don't know me yet. I'll come to your group, and please, if you like, you can save my number on your group so that people don't tag me again and tell me to join classes. Right? So that's that. So let's get started tonight because I'm going to talk about something very important, your growth journey. So what do I do now? Okay, I think I should be able to share my screen. Let's do that. Let's get that done immediately. Okay. Here we go. I hope network is favorable today. All right, guys. So once again, you're welcome. Excuse me. Tonight we're going to be talking about the growth mindset. You're going to see why growth mindset is very important for us to start with on this journey. One of the major reasons actually is due to the fact that what your attitude towards this program is going to determine the kind of mindset you are having to life generally. You know, you agree with me that there are some persons that if you went to the school that if you went to school the time I went to school, I don't know if that is being done now. If you went to secondary school at the time I went to secondary school, that's about some years ago. I graduated 2008 from secondary school. You know, I went to a school that you have persons who, at the end of the class or at the end of the term, you will have your result sheet coming up, and then we used to call it dossier. And in your result sheet, you will have people taking first position, second, and third position. And then there's one thing that's always striking, and that's the fact that people who continue to take first position are most likely be the ones who continue to take that position, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, except the person otherwise become, something happened and the person become very unserious. Let me confirm you can still hear me.
Yes, sir.
Right. So you begin to
Yes, sir.
wonder that, okay, why is it that the first persons who are taking first position in life, in school and in life, are the one that actually continue to do that? What happens to the rest persons? Well, there are several factors. I want to sit here and say tonight that it's just one thing that's responsible for that. There are several factors that's responsible for that. Excuse me, please, I'm drinking water. There are several factors that is responsible for that, and one of those factors is their mindset. It is kind of mindset they carry, and as you're going to be seeing tonight, it's also what makes the difference between people generally. Last year we talked about paradigm shift as a beginning topic, and I would love to advise that you go check that out. Dami, can you see me? Like, as in, can you see my video?
Yes, I can
I
see.
was saying. So last week we, so last week we last year we talked about paradigm shift, and we started by explaining the fact that, which is almost essentially the same thing as the mindset, but we're going to take a slightly different approach to this. So if you want to get the holistic thing, I would advise that you head to the YouTube now and search for our topic for last year on paradigm shift and watch it. I advise you 100%. Please create time, just an hour or two or so. Invest time watching it. It will do you a great deal of good. You are going to have like a totality of what you're going to be discussing. I said again, horses can always come to the stream. You can't force it to drink water. But then, as I was saying, last week when we started like there are three different, or last year. Why do I keep on saying last week? Last year, that there are three different sets of persons in the world. Now we have the first set of persons. We call them the trailblazers. Now, these are the guys who make things happen. These are the guys who invent stuff. These are the guys who come to a place and they don't want to leave it the way they meet it. These are the guys, when they are not there, their absence is felt because their absence is noticed because their presence is always felt. So they have that approach to life anytime. They have that approach to life. Now, the other second set of persons who are called they're called the seers. Those guys, they just sit back and watch things happen, they just take it, whatever the trailblazers say, they state it, they follow the train, they don't make the news, they don't create the news, but they are very active at sharing the news, talking about what's happening. They can complain a lot, but they don't do a single thing to make things better. Then we have the third set of persons who are the easy does it guys. Nothing concerns them. They don't make things happen. They don't complain. They are only just to live, and at the end of the day, they just want to just live, eat, marry, have children, train children, die. So, and we say one of the major difference between this set of persons is their mindset, right? It's their mindset, it's their paradigm to life, and which is also the same thing as their mindset to life. So that will now lead us to sorry that will now lead us to look at four things or the following things because of this discussion. First, we are going to look at what is growth, because we're talking about the growth mindset. Well, as you might have noticed by now, I'm passionate about growth. I'm passionate about growth because from the time that you were conceived in your mother's womb, from the time that your dad's seed it was planted into your mother's womb, to the time you will die, the only thing that you keep on doing is growing, right? So growth is like the responsibility for everyone. And I'm going to talk about, I'm going to look at growth in detail. So I'm passionate about growth because growth is the answer to everything. When you were younger, you will notice that there are some things you cannot carry. You cannot carry 10 kg, 10 kilometers. Remember those days where I went to school that we used to go to the stream, early in the morning, taking some persons can take 10 kilogram of water, 10 kg keg on their head. Others take 20 kg keg on their head. Others take 50 kg. Others take 25 kg kegs on their head. But then as you grow up, you begin to notice that you drop from 10 kg, you begin to carry 20 kg, you begin to carry 25 or 50 kg. What has happened? The weight of the water has not changed. What has happened is that you have grown, right? So some of the difficulties you are facing in your life will become easy when you grow, right? Some of the financial difficulties you are having become easy when you grow financially. Some of the capacity, some of your inability to do some things become easy when you grow. So that's why we're going to be looking at the concept of growth first. Then we look at the science of the mind, and all these things are done briefly because we're talking about the growth mindset. From there, we look at what else the mindset means. After that, we now introduce you to two major mindsets, and then we'll narrow it down to one. Then, if time permits, and that is if time permits, a very strong if, we'll look at a growth habit. But I want you to take growth habits to, it's something that we may not talk about immediately, because I don't want to keep us here more than necessary. We are already closing to 1 hour. So I have another 30 minutes to do justice to what we want to do tonight. Less than 30 minutes, because I want us to leave by 9:30. So to do justice to what I want to do tonight. So if time permits, between today and tomorrow, we are going to look at these things and also include growth habits. So let's get started. Who is excited? Please, I want you to see, can make comments, you can use emojis, I want to see your comments, your emojis, whatever it is. Who's excited to dive into this with us? If I'm looking here, don't mind me. I'm looking at another screen as well. So I have two screens, maybe like 3 screens. Okay, thank you guys. You can just begin to make comments. You remember when we started, we sent out to you to fill up a form. We call it the baseline survey. We wanted to know where your baseline is, and one of the things that we talked about there is to tell us what is your learning expectation. Okay, and that will not permit us to let you know what learning expectations mean, but be rest assured I'll be dropping some voice notes in your groups. So if you feel you want to share your learning expectations with us as the class is going, if you have access to the chat group, please use the chat group and drop your learning expectations. If you don't have access to the chat group, don't worry, it's okay, it's fine. Okay, so let's get started. The concept of growth. Now, when you talk about growth, let me start from here. When we talk about growth, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Can somebody unmute and let us know? 2 persons. Raise your hand and I'll call you. When we talk about growth, what does it mean? What's the first thing that comes to your mind? What is growth? 2 persons. I'm giving chance to 2 persons that have a very strong paradigm. Don't unmute until you are.
Growth is the process of changing level.
I love that. Oh my God, that is brilliant. Wait, did you look into my note? Did you steal my note?
No,
I
sir.
love that.
No,
Growth
sir.
is the process of changing level. Wow. I'm here to learn tonight as well. I'm going to write that down. Growth is the process of changing level. Yes, another person.
Daniel.
Growth is the process to success.
Process to success. I love that. Another person. Let me just call
Clement.
them in order. Let them unmute and say process of changing level, process of success. Yes, another person.
Clement.
If you can drop in the chat, please. If you can drop in the chat, do what to drop in the chat as well, okay?
Davis Rachel.
All right, for me,
Growth
I think
is a
growth.
lifelong process.
Hello, who is talking? I can't hear you.
Rachel, please go ahead.
Okay, for me, I think growth is a movement of increase, a motion of increase. Sorry.
Movement or motion of increase. Wow. Guys, you have smart person in this place. Hope you're not using ChatGPT. I mean, I'm loving what I'm having. Like, you're gonna make my session tonight a whole lot easier. Okay, next. Thank you so much, guys, for your wonderful and powerful contributions. Process of changing level, process of success, movement or emotion of increase, a gradual process of development. I know one of the things that you guys said there that is very key, and I want you to take note and underline, is that growth is a process. Something we are going to, time permit, you are going to elaborate. It's a process, and it has to do with movement. It has to do with increase, and it's not just a movement. It has to do with increase. It has to do with development. And it's also key that we're able to to connect growth to success. You can't be successful. Please, if you're not speaking, mute. So you can't be successful if you are not growing. And we're going to also look at the fact that there is a difference between success and growth. Success and growth are not the same thing, but you cannot grow without being successful, and you can't be called a success without growth. So those things are related. We're going to look at how they relate. So, in your in your simple arithmetic, let me take you back also again to new general mathematics. Now you understand that you did what they call graphs. And on graphs, you have both the x-axis and the y-axis. And then when the line is going upward, the vertical line is always represented as the y-axis, while the horizontal line is represented as the x-axis. So you something is said to be increasing if it's moving in a positive direction. What do I mean? If that means it's increasing if it is going from the negative to the positive side. If the direction of flow is going up and is going towards the right, then it is increasing. So someone said that growth is the motion of increase. So growth is like a motion. And what is motion? Motion is displacement. Motion is a change of position or a change of status. So something is saying to grow if there is one, a change in the status or the position of that thing, if there is a movement. And two, if that movement is happening upward, and as well as happening in a positive direction, or that is the movement also happening towards the right side, just the way this arrow is pointed, the arrow you are seeing right now. So that is growth. Now some person may say, okay, but what if it is going it's going upward, but it's going towards the left? Isn't that growth? No, it's not that. It's not growth, because if you look at it very well, if it's going towards the left, you notice that it's coming from the positive axis of x-axis to the negative axis of the x-axis, right? So time may not permit us to go deep into that, but I want you to understand that when we talk about growth, two things should come to your mind. It is a change of position, not just a change of position. It's a change of position towards, in a positive way, upward and rightward. That is growth. Now, then we'll also, when we talk about the concept of growth, I used to think about growth in two forms. Growth exhibits in two forms. The first form is what I call the qualitative growth. Now, what is qualitative growth? Now, qualitative growth is the growth that has to do, just as the name implies, it is the growth in quality of something. So when we talk about the personal growth, it's the growth in the quality of your life. When we talk about financial growth, it's the growth in the quality of your finances. When we talk about the mental growth, it is the growth in the quality of your mental capacity. Now, one thing with qualitative growth is that it is not seen, it is not in the surface. Now, a good example is the root of the tree. When you plant a seed into the tree, give it some time. If you plant a seed of a tree, except if you come back tomorrow, nothing happened. Come back next tomorrow, nothing happened. In fact, for instance, if there are some seed that you planted, if you come back 3 weeks, nothing happened. You will not see anything happening. That does not mean that that thing is not growing. It is growing. It's just that it is growing beyond the visibility of the eyes. So it is growing root into the ground. And that is growing root into the ground, it's experiencing what I call the qualitative growth. Right? So it's just an analogy. So a qualitative growth is any form of growth that is not seen, it is not visible, it is very quiet, it doesn't make noise, nobody knows. You may be saying that, oh, this thing still remains the same, this thing doesn't change with time, but that doesn't mean it's not growing. Now, if it's a qualitative growth, what's come to mind? Example is when we talk about, for instance, development of non-physical things like your mental capacity, right? So if a lot of you are going to be here, you're going to be assimilating a lot of things in the course of these 90 days. And if people meet you on the road, they're not going to see that you are actually assimilating anything immediately. That does not mean that you are not growing in your mental capacity. So growing in mental capacity, growing in financial intelligence. Now, financial intelligence is not, being financially intelligent is not the same thing as having money. Now, somebody was talking about what a millionaire means, and the thing sunk into my brain. He said that A millionaire is not somebody who has 1 million, who has 1 million in his account. Millionaire is who you are. Millions is what you have in your bank. So because maybe if I have worked over 10 years to have 10 million in my account, and somebody from somewhere came and give you 10 million in your account, that does not mean both of us are millionaires. You only happen to have 10 million in your account. That's why. How do you know millionaires? Take that 10 million away from us again. And the real millionaire, give the real millionaire time, he will be able to make that 10 million, even though everything is lost. Why? Because he has built the mental capacity to generate 10 million. But the servant that was given 10 million naira, take that 10 million naira from him. Nobody, and if nobody gives him again, he may not be able to generate that money. So a millionaire is who you are. So that means talk about your financial capacity. Sorry, it's 9 o'clock. I need to set alarm for 9. So building in financial intelligence is not the same thing as having money, and it's what you're going to do today. So it's a form of qualitative growth. Another form of qualitative growth is emotional quotient, or people call it emotional intelligence, or whatever it is you could call it. That is talking about your ability to control your emotions in the face of circumstances, ability to separate what somebody have hurt you from one person that hurt you, and not transferring that hotness back to another person. Maybe you had a bad day at work with your wife, you don't transfer it to work, or you have a bad day at work, you don't transfer it on your friends or on your wife. So that one is called emotional quotient. So what I said all this to try to explain that a qualitative growth is the growth in quality, is the growth that cannot be seen, it cannot be felt, it is the growth of the root. Now, the second type of growth is, as you might have noticed, is what I call the qualitative growth. And that is the kind of growth that people can see. And that is the kind of growth that people can measure. And the truth is that since people can see this type of growth and that can measure this type of growth, a lot of persons tend to focus on only the quantitative growth. And guess what? It is the qualitative growth that controls the quantitative growth. So if the tree has not built its roots to the ground, even though it grows tall and grows fruit, and with just a slight wind, what happens to that tree? It falls down. So the quality of your growth influences the strength of the quantity of your growth. And what are the examples of quantitative growth? Of course, you can guess what they are. Physical stature, increase in the numbers of years, your career advancement, you are promoted from one office to another, your financial gain, or the money in your bank account, your social media account, because you can dance, you have increase in your social media followings, and these are physical growth, these are quantitative growth that people could see. As I was saying earlier, now these two types of growth are very important. None of them is less important than the other, but it is wisdom that you focus first on the quality of your growth, because it is the quantitative growth that controls the quantitative growth. I used to say, and you could write this down, that it is dangerous, okay, a growth in quantity without a corresponding growth in quality is the disaster waiting to happen. I say it again, a growth in quantity without the corresponding growth in quality will always end in disaster. I'll give you an example. If you are quick enough to go and marry because you are of age, without having the mental capacity to take care of a family, without having the financial intelligence to generate money to take care of your family, once you go into that marriage, it's going to be disaster. Or if you go out there and all of a sudden you have money, maybe you do something like the Yahoo guys that you can just sit behind your decks and then make money, and then you blow overnight. The way you blow overnight, that's how your money will blow away overnight. So you need to focus on quality of your growth as well as the quantity of your growth. The other side is also possible. Guys, if you can use the chat section, you can just chat. I want to see you guys type something so that it doesn't look like I'm just talking to myself. Now, the other way around is also possible, that a growth in quality a quantitative growth without a corresponding growth in quantitative growth will lead to frustration. For instance, you have the mental capacity to make money, but you don't have money. You'll be frustrated, all right? You have the mental capacity to get a promotion in your job. You know you are doing better than the rest, but they're not giving you this promotion. You'll be frustrated. Don't expect that after giving birth to a child, and that child has spent like 5-10 years, the child is still crawling. There's no physical growth. You'll be frustrated. So none of these growth are indispensable. Both of them are very dispensable. That's why at Growth Hub, we are focusing on both the quantitative growth and the qualitative growth. So that is different forms of growth. The next thing we're going to be talking about as it regards growth is, what's my time? Wow. Okay. The next thing we're going to be 15 minutes. The next thing we're going to be talking about as regards growth is what I call the dimensions of growth. And I'll just run through that quickly. We have 4 dimensions of growth. And I talked about this dimension from your relationship with 4 things. Number 1, your relationship with yourself. That includes your physical health, your emotions, and your mental capacity. That type of growth is known as, is what I call the personal growth. Okay? Okay. That type of growth is what I call the personal growth. I wrote a book, Growth 360 plus 5. If you can lay your hands on that group, we'll expand in details, or we'll talk about it more, not as detailed as I would have want to, but we touched about this type of growth, personal growth. The second growth is deals with your relationship with other persons. That has to do with your academics. You may be asking me, how does my academics as a student, touches my relation with other people? Because it is in your academics that you're going to build the capacity to help others, to create value for others. You don't go to school to study for yourself. Nobody does that. You go to school so that you can build the mental capacity to create something. And when you create something, what do? You will be able to help other persons to give them or create value for them. So if you're a student, it has to do with your academic at the moment. If you're a career person, it has to do with your career growth, your relationship with your work, your relationship with the company you work for, the relationship with the colleagues, your relationship with your customers, if you're offering services, and if you're a business, it has to do with the business growth. And that type of growth, I call it the professional growth. Now, the fourth dimension of growth has to do with your relationship with money and what money can do, or you can call it your relationship with things. And that's what I call the financial growth. And the fourth dimension of growth is your relationship with God. That's the supernatural being, of course, and I call that the spiritual growth. So at Growth Hub, what we are concerned about your holistic growth. I still call it Growth Hub. Growth Hub will never leave my head. At Nick Hub, we are concerned about your holistic growth. And we are going to help you in the course of these 90 days, introduce you to how you can grow holistically in your personal growth, in your professional growth, in your physical growth, as well as in your spiritual growth. Now, what you have right now, what you are seeing currently on your screen, is what you are going to be taking you through for the next 90 days. Now, I want somebody to look at this very well, and maybe 2 persons help us do it. And maybe there will be a gift for somebody that can do it very well. And it's good for those that have not spoken before if they raise their hand. So I want to look at everything and tell me which of the growth does. Maybe you pick 5 of these, you pick 4 of these, and say, okay, for instance, you now say, okay, positioning for global relevance falls under spiritual growth. So you're going to tell me which of the growth does this fall into. Okay, let's do this. One person, you take personal growth and tell me one or two modules that falls under that group. Do you understand what I mean? If you understand, please unmute yourself, or you can start typing. I'm following the chat. Anyone? Let's get going. Anyone? Then I can see hands raised. I can't see them. Please, can you?
I can't see the screen.
Clement.
Yes, when it comes to personal growth, I can see flying on the wings of character. That is essential drill for flying on the wings of character, and probably mental health too.
Okay, great. That's excellent. Okay, another person. We have 2 more to go. Who else is raising their hand? I can't see hands. That me, please. I can't see who is. Okay, Daniel or Jotula, you raising your hand?
Yes, sir. I can
Great.
see financial intelligence. That falls
Okay.
under the
Financial growth,
financial
right?
growth.
Great.
Yes.
Samson, did you raise your hand?
Yes, I did. I did.
Okay.
Yeah. So financial growth, financial intelligence falls on that. Okay, should I start from the starting then? Positioning for global relevance falls under professional growth.
Okay. Does that falls on that group professional growth? Okay. Okay. It can fall on that professional growth.
Mastering the art of storytelling also falls under professional growth. Writing is also falls under professional growth. Flying on the wings of character falls under personal growth. Mental health 101 falls under mental growth as well.
Okay. Mental growth. Do we have mental growth?
There's no mental growth. So you can call it personal growth as well. Personal growth, although it falls under personal growth.
Okay.
Skills for the future falls under professional growth.
Okay.
Because of the skills then. Personal branding, professional growth. Capstone
okay,
project.
let's stop there. Okay, it's fine. Let's stop there. I think we have done everything. Now, flying on the wings of character also, as you're going to be learning, it also falls under spiritual growth in a way. Like you're going to be seeing that when that is done correctly. So that shows me you guys understand what we are talking about. And so when we talk about growth in Growth Hub, when we talk about growth in Nickel or in the course of our discussion, know that we are talking about 2 forms of growth: qualitative growth and quantitative growth. We're talking about 3 dimensions of growth. 4 dimensions of growth: professional growth, personal growth, spiritual growth, and financial growth. Okay. Now let's start with let's really talk about growth as an adventure. Now, in somebody's definition, it talks about growth as a process of success, and that tends to capture things for us. Number 1, the fact that growth is a process. Growth is not a destination. Growth is a process. And if it's a process, you don't attain, you don't reach, it's not a place you get to and say, oh, at this point I have grown. No, it's something that has to continue. And then it's something that has to take time. It's not done overnight, right? It's a process. It takes time. It takes energy. And it takes time to see the result. It takes time, especially the quantitative growth, the physical growth that people can see. It takes time to get the result. So growth is the process. And I also want to see growth as an adventure. I don't see growth as a journey. Now, why did I see growth as a journey? Because when you talk about journey, you're talking about a destination in mind. For instance, if I want to go for a conference in Ghana, for instance, that means I have a destination in mind. I'll book my flight ticket, I'll book my accommodation, and once I get into Ghana, I get to that destination. Now that is it. But an adventure does not necessarily mean you are going to a destination. You are going to a destination, but the real adventure starts when you get to that destination. Because in an adventure, you don't know what you don't know what you hope to see. Maybe I want to go mountaineering. I want to go and explore UK for it. New York, for instance. I carry my load. I go to the Union. I go to the destination, which is New York. Then I start exploring. I start going from places to places. What I see is not what I'm expecting sometimes. So I see growth as an adventure because there are a lot of things that's going to come your way on your path to growth that is going to be more than the destination itself. Right? I tell people that one of the greatest things that school does for you is the things that school does for you are things that are not graded. Right? It helps you to build emotional intelligence. The conventional school help you to interact with people, to learn how to build relationship with persons, to learn how to work in team. Some persons meet the love of their life on campus, even when they didn't plan to meet the love of their life on campus, right? So the things that are not the things that the school taught you, or the school will teach you, are the things that are not graded, and they are the quantitative kind of growth. So So they are the qualitative kind of growth. So I see growth as an adventure, and that adventure starts from a point. The point is called the comfort zone. That's the zone that you don't need to do anything, right? The thing is nice, and there's nothing. Sorry, excuse me. There's no uncertainty on your way. You don't just want anything to happen. It's the comfort zone. But for you to be able to grow, you need to take a step out of that zone. You need to take a step out of that circle. Please be on mute if you are not talking. So you need to take a step out of that circle to move to the next zone, which is known as the fear zone. Now, once you're in this comfort zone and you begin to look at yourself, look, see, I'm not comfortable where I am at the moment. I'm not comfortable. I shouldn't be comfortable with this comfort. I shouldn't be comfortable with the skills I'm having. I should be comfortable with the result I'm having. The next thing that sets in is that you begin to be you start becoming afraid. Why? Because you are venturing into an uncertain world, a world that you have not seen before, a world that you may fail or you may succeed, a world that you may be exposed to things you don't know, so you become afraid. At that point, you're at what I call the fear zone. And I'm going to show us in the course of this lecture that is the zone that we have 3 minutes more to go. God help us. That is the zone that a lot of persons, okay, guys, let's do 2 hours. That is the zone that a lot of persons who are fixed, who do not have the growth mindset stopped. The top at the fear zone. But if you take action, if you take your first step out of the fear zone, you enter into the learning zone. That is when you begin to realize that, oh, some of these things you are afraid of actually can be learned. Some of these things that you lack, that are necessary to propel you from one point to another, can be learned. That is the learning zone. Then once you move from the learning zone, you now enter the final zone, which is known as the what? The growth zone. Now, this is where everybody should be at for the rest of their life. You don't come out of the growth zone. You continue to grow. You continue to grow. Have you achieved something? Break the ceiling. Have you reached the sky? Reach for the stars. Have you reached the stars? Reach for the whatever you can reach for. Because the essence of life, the secret to continuous relevance is growth. The secret to continuous relevance is continuous growth. So if you stop growing, you stop dying. I used to tell people that one of the signs that you are alive is that you're growing. Because Mr. Nijadi, growth is one of the characteristics of the living things. And non-living things cannot grow. Non-living things that doesn't have breath in them, cannot grow. So if you stop growing, it's as well as the fact that you don't have breath. So as long as you are still living, you should grow, and you should remain at the growth zone. So I want you to. Nobody, you guys are still not using the chat box. I don't know. Maybe you don't know how to. Okay, if you can you type on your group? Can you type on your group if you can, if it's possible, if you can access your group? Can you type on your group in the next 5 seconds, or let's say 30 seconds? Which side are you on right now in terms of your personal life? Remember that these things applies to different dimensions of growth, right? So there are some persons that could be at the growth zone in terms of their personal life, but they are the comfort zone in terms of their financial life, or they are the fear zone in terms of their professional life. So which of these? No, let's do it as a task. First task tonight. You're going to do that and put it on your group immediately after this discussion. You can even start putting it now. So what you will do is that you take a dimension of your growth, like sorry, these dimensions, like personal growth. Where are you? What zone are you? Professional growth, what zone are you? Financial growth, what zone are you? Spiritual growth, what zone are you? And if you can and you want to type, tell us again, why are you in that zone? Take notes of that. Dami, please take note and follow that up. That's going to be our discussion tonight before we sleep on our group. So next thing, having talked about growth, let's go to the business of the day, the science of the mind. And thank you so much, guys, for those whose mind is in Jesus. So we did a poll yesterday where your mind is, and this is the result of your poll for us to know. So 47 persons responded, but since a lot of you have to respond for more than once, we have 133 responses. But from here, you can discover that a lot of people got it right or got it partially right. They say that their mind is in their head. Some person say it's in their brain. Another person say it's in the yeah. A lot of persons say it's in the brain. I love those that say that their mind is successful, their mind is in money, their mind is in prosperity, their mind is in Jesus. Okay, congratulations with that. So that gives me an idea that a lot of us have an idea of where the mind is located. But if I open your mind, if I open your skull today and break and open your brain, will I see your mind? Can you respond? Will I see your mind? Anyone? Briefly, just unmute and answer. If I open you, yes or no. If I open your brain today, will I see your mind? You don't need to raise your hand. Just unmute. Yes or no.
No, it's not possible.
No, sir.
Everybody said no. Yes. Okay, fine. That means I'm not going to waste time on this. Thank you so much, guys. So it's very true that if I open your brain today, I will not see your mind. Why? Because your mind is the software, while your brain is the hardware. So if your mind is like your phone, for instance, if I break your phone, I can't see the application that are installed in it, right? Because those applications are the softwares or the operating or even the operating system. So the good thing I want to use the operating system. So what makes the phone different is not necessarily the color and the size. These are the physical features of the brain. What makes the phone different is the operating system. It's whether you're using an Android phone or you're using an Amazon phone, right? So if you're using Amazon, using an Android phone or an iOS phone. iOS is for Apple. Android is from Google or for Android phone. So you discover that even though when you put two Android phones together, the one may be bigger than the other in terms of features. It may be bigger than the other in terms of sizes or in terms of capacity. But eventually they have almost similar things. Most of the things that Android phone can do is the same across them. But when you use an iOS phone, they are completely different the way it works. Why? Because their operating system differs. Now, remember that if your phone is a smartphone, if your brain is the smartphone, is the physical things you are holding, your mind is the operating system in it. So the mind of the phone differs. That is how we also have two different kind of mindsets. Two different kinds of people carry two different forms of mind, which we are going to look in details today. So your mind is like the software, your brain is the hardware. I think that is understandable. Now the next thing that we also want to look at is, although your mind may be the software, it's actually the one that controls you. So we live in two worlds. We live in the invisible worlds of thoughts and idea, which is seated in the mind. What does that imply? Another example, I love, I have a farming background, so I love to give example when it comes to farm. Now, when you take a seed, for instance, and you plant the seed, when you take a seed and you break the seed, you're not going to see a tree in the seed. But when you put the seed in the soil, which is the comfortable place for the seed to grow, what are you going to be seeing? You're going to be seeing the wall, you're going to see the manifestation in that seed. All right. What that implies is that there is a seed, there is a tree in every seed. So the seed, no matter how small it is, houses the plant. And different forms of seed give birth to different forms of plant. Okay? So your mind, your thought, and your ideas are located in your mind. And it is from your mind that you begin to make manifestation of your thoughts and ideas. I'm a strong believer of Jesus and a strong believer of the Bible. And when it comes to mind, one of the Bible verses that stands out for me is the Bible said, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. That means your thought is who you are. So you may come to social media and say, I am this. No. You are not what you say you are. You are what you think you are. So even though your mouth is saying something that your mind did not believe in, you're not going to become it. Okay? So your thoughts controls your manifestation. If your thoughts and if the thoughts and ideas which are the things that are set in your mind controls your manifestation, that means your life cannot change until your mind changes. Your life, your personal life cannot change until what you think about your personal capacity changes. Your financial life cannot change until the mindset you have towards money changes. Your professional life cannot change until you have a good thought and ideas that originate from your mind that can provide a visible result of the manifestation of your professional life. Now, this is the reason we are starting with mindset in this cohort, because every other thing that every other expert is coming to teach you cannot have effect on you until you have developed the right mindset with which to succeed in life. And that is why I said initially, so that's the difference between the top 1% and the lower 99%. It's nothing more. So because it's in someone's thought, why some persons are saying half empty bottle, others are saying the half full bottle. So your mindset is what controls you. I can't explain this more than this. Time will not permit us, but you're going to see it, and we're going to see more as you're going to come into it. So that introduces us to the first thing we're going to be looking at tonight: the mindset. The mindset. So when we talk about your mindset, it's not the same thing as your mind. Your mind is like as we say, it's the software. But think of your mindset as the framework that is in that software. If you have been to where they are building edifice before, that is how it is being built. They first of all built the framework. That is the woodwork. People call it the wood. That's the framework. Now it is in this framework that at the end of the day, the building will come up when they begin to attach the necessary things. So you can't build if the framework stops at a 2-story building, you cannot continue to build a 3-story building. If the framework stops at the 1-story if the framework is a bungalow, you cannot use it to build an edifice. So your mindset is the framework that builds your life. So if the framework of your mind can only carry 10 million naira, once you reach the capacity of that 10 million naira, you stop. It's like being in an aeroplane. Let me give an example. It's like being in an aeroplane. Your mind may be in your head, maybe in your head, but then you are living in your mind. You cannot grow higher than your mind can carry you. So if you're living in an aeroplane, your height is determined in the plane with which you are sitting in. You cannot be higher than the plane that is carrying you. You cannot build better things than the framework that you have on your mind. All right? And again, I will advise us to go and watch the last year's story. We look at how is mind formed. That's not our focus today. We may not be able to look at it. How is mind formed? The mind are formed either by nurture or by nature. By nurture means sorry. By nurture means your mind, everybody is born with a clean slate of the mind, except with some genetic makeup that can be altered. But most of the times, your mind is formed by nature. Your mind is formed by environment. It's formed by what you fed it. The framework of your mind is formed by what you listen to, the kind of friends you interact with. In fact, the country you grew up. One of the things that they have wired the white to think is that an average white man thinks that he's smarter than the smartest black person. Even though I have come to realize from experience that they are not as smart as they think they are. Why? Because it's the mental orientation that have helped them to build that mental framework that sees every other black person as inferior. And it's unfortunate that a black person has been programmed to think that he is less and is inferior to a white person. So when a black man meets a white man, he wants to have a picture, take a picture with him, even when that white man is nobody in his country, or even when he knows that he can be more intelligent than that white person. Remember, your mindset houses the three you carry. Your mind houses the three that you carry. Your thought forms your manifestation, and your mindset is the framework that carries that mind. So if you have a small framework, you can never be a great person. And that is why one of the things that we are going to be doing in the next 90 days is to have you do your mental reorientation. If you don't have that orientation, there is no way you can grow. Am I communicating? Unmute and just respond. Do you understand? Are you still following me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes.
Do you understand everything
Yes, sir.
I've been saying?
Yes, sir.
Great. So we said that your mind is your mental framework. Now that takes us to the next thing. There is a good news. The good news is that you can change your mindset. You can alter your mindset. That is the good news. The good news is that mindset is not inherited. While your parents may influence your mindset, while the environment may influence your mindset, it's not written in your genetic code. It's something that can change, and you can change it. That is the good news. And that is what we want to look at today. So from tonight, I'm going to stop here today, then so that I can take questions and answers. Then we'll continue from here. Do we have any question? Any question? Okay.
Okay, Kwam, I saw your hand. Kindly unmute. Or was that a mistake?
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, sir. Thank you for this wonderful session, sir.
Thank
I
you.
particularly am very sorry, but I missed the point when you were explaining this, my mindset by nature and by nurture. So I would like you to please explain it for me, sir.
Okay. So I'm talking about two things influences your mind, the way you think, or two things influences the way you are going to look, the way you're going to view life. The first is by nature. Your nature has to do with your genetic makeup, right? There are some physical capabilities you inherit from your parents. A good example is maybe if your parents are good singers, you might inherit that ability to sing from them. All right. So you will not form a mental framework from the fact that you have this talent to sing that you inherited from your parents, that you're a singer. Do you understand? But as you continue to grow, you now discover that though you're a very good singer, I know that you have the voice, but you look at yourself and say, oh, there are some level I cannot get to because of the environment you grew up. You have not seen anybody becoming that thing. I don't know if you understand. So you have not seen your environment now limits the way to which you think you can use your ability to sing. Because maybe nobody in your environment, maybe you have never even heard about Grammy Award before. If you have never heard about Grammy Award, how did you even strive to get a Grammy Award? So your nation might have built a mental framework that you're a good singer. Your nation, which is the environment, might have will now limit you from maximizing that full potential because you don't even know what's happening within you. I don't know if you understand. I don't know if that's one example I can give. So your nature has to do with your genetic makeup that tells you, okay, look, oh, I have this capacity by virtue of the genetic makeup that I have. But then your nurture now has to do with the environment. You now be limited by what you see in your environment, by what you know, by the opportunities that you think is available to you. Next question, please.
Good evening, everyone. My question is, at the beginning of the session, you said there are three types of mind: the true blazers, the seer, but I did not get the last one.
Okay, not three types of mindset. There are three categories of people. The first one are the trailblazers, the one that make things happen. The second ones are the see out, the one that watch things happens. The third ones are like I call them the easy does it. These ones don't you concern them. They don't whether it's happening or it's not, they don't make things happen. They don't want that things happen. They don't complain about it. They just live their own life the way they just want to live it. And again, that's not going to be our focus. I just make reference to the previous class that we had. If you want to know more about that, I delve into that in details in the last year's session. So I think the team will send you they will send the link, the YouTube link for you to watch if you want to learn more about that.
Okay, so from the part where you talked about growth as an adventure, it doesn't have a destination, but is there a particular route? Like, is there a particular route? Like, how will I put this? Is there a particular route to in on the growth journey? Is there a particular route? But I understand that it doesn't have a destination, but is there a particular route to on the growth journey?
Now there are different routes to just like an adventure, right? There are
Yes.
routes, of course. There's always a route to everything. Okay, there's always there's always it. For instance, if something is in north is in the northern region, and you're going towards the south, there's no way you're going to get you're going to get that thing, right? So growth, though, is not a specific destination, but it's like an adventure that it's an adventure that you're going to get to at a point when you follow the correct route. And those routes are just called principles, right? So there are principles to making wealth, there's principles to financial growth, right? So when you learn those principles and you apply those principles, now I'm very careful to use the word principles. I didn't say methods, right? Principles are the same, but methods may be different. For instance, there's fundamental principle of investing. Fundamental principle of investing is that number one, you must have money. Number two, you must put your money where it will grow. But where you put your money may be different. While some persons invest in real estate, others invest in stock. So these are different methods. So yes, though growth is an adventure, it has routes, and those routes are called the principles. So even the professional growth, there are principles to professional growth. Now there are some persons that when they come to an office, if maybe if you're a career person, you can be in that office for 3 years, 4 years, no, how do I call it? No promotion. While others are coming 6 months, 1 month, and they are getting recognized, getting promoted. You may even be doing something better than them. There are things they are doing that you're not doing, right? They know, they understand that performance currency is not enough. So they are building relationships. They have somebody speaking for them at the table. They are putting themselves out there. People knows what they are doing. They're not just being humble with their achievement. If some of them, if possible, they will even take credit for what you have done and get promotion for that. So to answer your question, yes, there are routes to growth, and those routes to growth are called principles, right? They are principles that you can apply, and those principles are not hidden. They are not sacred. They're not called. People say 21st secret to say they are not sacred. They are just principles that people have applied. And the next thing I also want you to understand is that now, okay, I promise to tell us. I promise to differentiate between growth and success. So let's say, for instance, we have 4 zones, right? We have the comfort zone, the fear zones, the learning zone, and the growth zone. So when you break out from a comfort zone, you have achieved success to an extent, but that doesn't mean you're growing. Okay, so when you now break forth from the fear zone and you start learning, you have achieved success, for instance. So that maybe, for instance, maybe you enroll yourself in the university or in any higher institution, and then you get a degree, or you enroll yourself in an online class and you get a certificate. That's a success, but that is not growth. People who finish from GMP 2025, 2024 are going to get certificate. They're going to be recognized. All right. And the fact that you finish does not mean that you have grown. It means that you are growing. So there are different pieces of success along the path to grow. So one thing I used to tell people is that in your growth journey, don't settle for success. I wrote that recently on my Facebook, sorry, on my social media handle where I write regularly. So you don't build monument around success. You use a success as a leverage for you to grow to the next one, right? So these are the two different things. So there are several successes on your path to growth. So don't say that, okay, because I'm successful in this place, I have grown. So I think I've answered your question and I've added a little each other as well. Any other question?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Rachel.
Yes, thank you very much.
Unmute and just tell us what are the key things you have learned today. So we don't just keep.
Raise your hand so I call you, so that it doesn't get rowdy. Clement.
Yes, the major thing I've learned today is that one cannot focus on growing in one aspect, in one dimension, and neglect the other. They are all equally important.
That's great. Another person?
Charity.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for the session. I learned that a growth in quantity without a corresponding growth in quality is a disaster, and also a growth in quality without a corresponding growth in quantity will lead to frustration.
What does that mean?
It means
Can you explain what that means?
Yes, sir. It means that while we are growing in quality in our minds, we should also grow physically. We should also grow in number as well. Growth shouldn't be one-sided, but it should be corresponding.
Okay, that's great. Another person. Sorry, this mark thing is I don't understand it. I think I'm almost there.
Plans the different dimensions of growth, the personal growth, professional growth, financial and the spiritual. Then the growth as an adventure, where you need to move from your comfort zone to the fear zone, to the learning zone, and to the growth zone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Okay, so
why is it difficult for one to change his or her mindset?
Tomorrow.
Okay, so Divine, your question will be answered.
But if I should understand that question very well, it's because, like we're going to be seeing tomorrow, your mindset does not form overnight. It take years. So let's say if you're 20 years old, that means you've been forming your mindset for the past 20 years. So you don't expect what you have been forming over the past 20 years to change in overnight, to change in one sitting, to change in, let's say, in 2 weeks, right? So that's why it's going to be a process. It's not difficult. It's just that it takes time, right? Sorry, I don't know what's happening. I'm trying to show you guys this.